An FBI report warning about plans for war sent on January 5th was not. Welcome back. Tuesday's Senate hearings on the January 6th insurrection left lawmakers with a lot of critical questions. Why were FBI warnings leading up to the attack not seen by the top officials? Why did the Pentagon resist mobilizing the National Guard? And how do we prevent this kind of attack from ever happening again? Joining me now, Minnesota Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar, who co-chaired yesterday's hearings and is the chairwoman of the Senate Rules Committee. Well, Madam Chair, thank you very much. What a hearing you guys held. I want to ask you about the FBI threat report, first of all. January 5th, the day before, the night before, there's a clear threat report. It's an email warning, that that war is coming. The key witnesses who were in charge had not seen it. How is that possible? Do you blame the FBI for not flagging it? In all the emails that people get? Is it the system that there's not better communication? Because it does recall the kind of stovepiping we saw before 9/11.
Exactly. And we'll be asking the FBI that next week, really two opportunities. Director Wray will be testifying on Tuesday before the Judiciary Committee. And then Senator Peters and I and Blunt and Portman are holding another bipartisan joint committee the next day. And we'll be having witnesses from the Defense Department as well as Homeland Security and the FBI to ask that very question. But it does defy really any kind of prudent law enforcement that no one on the end of the Capitol Police or the Sergeant Arms somehow saw that from the Norfolk field office, because it did say that there were social media reports that they were going to war. And so it's on both sides. You just can't send an email late at night and push send when it's the U.S. Capitol that is the target of their aspirations. But then you also have to make sure you've got a process in place. So I think, one, we learned that there were intelligence breakdowns like that one. Two, the way this works with the Capitol Police Board is very disturbing because the police chief has to go to them for permission. It appears he felt even in a crisis. So while those two sergeant-at-arms were guarding the Senate and the House at the same time they were doing that, trying to protect the members, he was calling them to ask to strategize about what to do. So none of this would make sense in a normal police hierarchy situation, and we need to change that as well as better intelligence sharing.
The other stunning testimony that we heard Tuesday came from the acting D.C. police chief, Robert Conti, when talking about their discussions with military leaders on trying to get the National Guard deployed. Let me play that for you.
There were several Army officials that were on the call. I don't know all by name who were on the call. Several officials from district government that were on the scene. Chief Son was pleading for the deployment of the National Guard. And in response to that, there was not an immediate yes. The National Guard is responding. The response was more asking about the plan, what was the plan for the National Guard? I was just stunned that, I have officers that were out there literally fighting for their lives. And, we're kind of going through, what seemed like an exercise to really check the boxes.
Now, the Pentagon didn't reveal this right away. They, in fact, lied about it. But one of the people on that call was General Charles Flynn, I believe, who is Michael Flynn's brother. And Michael Flynn was one of the leaders of the protest group. So, does that disturb you?
Yes, and that testimony from the acting police chief of the Metropolitan Police, who did a very good job at this hearing, that was very chilling. And that's one of the reasons that we're calling a representative from the Defense Department to ask this very question. And there's really two elements. One, the National Guard, to get them mobilized, usually do it in advance, at least 24 hours, 36 hours, at best for a big event, a week in advance. That didn't happen here, and that is in part because of the intelligence breakdowns with the Capitol Police and others. But then you had the second piece, which when the crisis was going on, why was there any kind of delay at all, and why didn't they immediately say, we're going to do everything we can right now? And that's a question we want to ask of the Defense Department.
I want to also ask you about further investigations. Nancy Pelosi has at least a draft proposal for a 9/11 style commission. But I covered the 9/11 commission, and Tom Kean and Lee Hamilton, who were the bipartisan leaders, have reportedly told Politico that this plan is not ideal at all, especially in this politicized environment, because it doesn't have, an equal number of Democrats and Republicans and equal subpoena power, and it could be doomed from the beginning to not be credible to try to allay all of the conspiracy theories out there.
Well, I want to look at this. I have not looked at this draft that I heard has been floating around, but I think in concept, Speaker Pelosi's idea to have this commission is a good one. You can dig deeper than we can in these congressional hearings. But there's one piece that's getting missed here when we discuss this. Senator Peters and I are focused on doing everything we can to uncover what went wrong at the Capitol and then use those answers to come up with solutions to fix things. That's good. The one piece that is so important is the Justice Department. Merrick Garland getting put in place, Vanita Gupta and Lisa Monaco and Kristen Clark, because this is going to be, as we know, the FBI have made hundreds of arrests. There have been charges, major indictment against the Proud Boy members. And this is got to be a criminal investigation at its core. Who funded this? Where did it go? So as we look at all of these ideas for commissions and hearings, very important. But to me, the big thing, Andrea, is who was involved, who's responsible, who created criminal acts and committed criminal acts that should hold them accountable. And I really appreciated Merrick Garland's heartfelt support of going after white supremacism, his own experience with his family coming to the United States, leaving the Nazis in search of a safe haven. And he really understands why this is so important.
No, that was quite a moment indeed. I just want to quickly ask you about Neera Tanden and some of your colleagues, Senator Manchin opposing her for her past tweets and for being too partisan. But these same people voted for Rick Grinnell, who's probably more toxic on Twitter than anyone else who's ever been confirmed to be an ambassador. And certainly the former president, Donald J. Trump, was the worst bullier in chief on Twitter.
So I think Neera
Is this
would be...
a case of sexism or,
Okay, let me start with Neera Tanden.
Seems like a double standard.
I hate to go to your complaints before I get to her. She would be a great director of management and budget. The president is standing by her firmly, looking for votes, of course, on the Republican side. You know, Washington, things change. Hugh Hewitt wrote a column asking Republicans to support her, saying that, he may not agree with her on everything, but she's a tough person for a tough job. And she has apologized for those tweets very clearly. And as you said, Senator Manchin has not supported President Trump. Let's make that clear. But a number of the Republicans really closed their eyes to those tweets. And she's apologized. And I think she'd be good at the job. And most importantly, the President of the United States thinks she'd be good at the job. So I know they're continuing to work on getting support for her.
Yeah, I didn't mean to suggest that Senator Manchin supported
but of course,
but certainly he did vote. He did vote for Rick Grinnell.
Yeah, that's correct. Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. Thanks for fixing that. Senator Amy Klobuchar, you've got your work cut out for you. Thank you, and I know you're up to it. Thanks so much.
Excited about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, Andrea, and all that's happening. 70% increase in the distribution of vaccines over the first week that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took office. That's a big deal.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. And we'll have a lot more on Neera Tanden's nomination.